walked into the large conference room with 4 people staring back at me. Different in age, gender, dress, but all very warm, open, and bright. 2 might have been in their 20s or 30s, the other 2 in their 50s. I greeted each one with a strong handshake and a bright smile, just like how I learned to do in these kinds of things. I had prepared for this interview for months. Back in college, I wanted to be a resident assistant. They built community, supported students, got free housing. Some of my greatest loves. I applied, but disappointingly, I didn't move past the first round. Now, 16 years later, as a college professor, researching at one of the best universities in the country, I had a similar opportunity, a second chance to live in the dorms, build community, support students. I jittered with excitement. Now back in that interview, the older white man with his jet white hair and his laid-back nature and chill dress kicked off the questions. He chuckled and said, "On your cover letter, it says you're an aging researcher, but you don't look like you're aging to me." Flustered, I thought to myself, did he not read my CV? Because clear as day, you could see that I researched everything about aging, nursing homes, older adults, long-term care. But he thought I was coining myself as a researcher who is aging. And he was surprised to see a person that looks like me that didn't fit his description of a person who was aging. In my confusion, I realized there was some truth in his question. Both meanings were true. First, I do research aging. Second, I am a researcher who is aging. I thought about my classrooms, where I look to disrupt the ways we think about aging and who we see as aging, including what just happened here. And I turned back to him, and I thanked him for his call out, and I responded, I am an aging researcher who is aging. And one of my favorite things to do with my students is ask them, what age is old? And they'll say things like 21, 30, 35, 40, because yeah, they're still getting it together. And then I ask them, well, who wants to get old? No one raises their hand. Then I say, I guess you want to die at all those ages that you said were old. So 21, 30, 35, 40. And then all of a sudden they say, no. They start raising their hands and they say, I want to get old. And I just trick them. And I do this because I want them to see how their views on aging shapes the things they say or don't say, do or don't do. In the case of this interview, in your question, unlike my students, you see aging on the other spectrum where I'm not included in that. And yes, we might have our different definitions on aging, but the truth is, we all be aging. Not just when you're at some arbitrary number like 65, but at this very moment. I got invited for a second interview. My name is Jasmine Travers. I am an aging researcher and an expert in nursing homes, long-term care, and workforce issues. And I'm here to tell you that we all be aging. Now that we got that out the way, I want to dig deeper into some of the issues with how we're currently aging. So stories like the ones that I shared in my interview reflects an idea around aging as a linear process that starts at the different ages that my students shared, 21, 30, 35. Or once we start presenting different physical features or attributes related to aging, like wrinkles, gray hair, changes in physical function. While this kind of thinking is pretty normal, it limits our possibilities. Where anyone who is breathing is indeed aging. And if we fail to see ourselves in aging today, we miss opportunities to plan for the way we age tomorrow. Opportunities like thinking about what we eat in the morning and how much that affects our health issues for years to come. Many cancers are happening younger and younger and younger these days, 20s, 30s, 40s. Or opportunities like how much activity we engage with, which affects our physical mobility in older years. Or even who we vote for. How much do they care about policies related to things that older adults need? Long-term care, Social Security, Medicare. This kind of thinking is going to need a new normal. One where we talk about, experience, and see aging differently. So what if it wasn't a straight line that went from cradle to grave, but a flower that stemmed up into a bloom? Now, I know I got a little mushy on us, but just think with me a bit. Your favorite flower, any flower. For me, I'm thinking about lilies because that was what was at my wedding and they looked absolutely stunning. But think about the roots and the stem and the leaves and the petals and the seeds that fall from the flower. Now see yourself as that flower. And as the flower moves along different stages, so do we in aging. So with that in mind, let's age together and start with the roots. That's our beliefs. Roots anchor the flower into the ground, serving as its foundation. And related to that, our aging beliefs in the context of older adults, or our aging beliefs in the context of growing older, can be anchored in positivity or negativity. Fun fact, those who have positive age beliefs live 7.5 years longer than those who don't. So that's believing that you are going to be useful in years to come. Or feeling just as happy now as you did years before. And why is that? Because our minds and our bodies follow where our bodies go. Our minds and our body follows the direction of our beliefs. So what's informing how you're viewing aging, whether it's positive or negative? And how can you draw on more positive age beliefs in your life? From the roots, we have our stem. That's our support. Flowers need structural support to stand tall and withstand the life's elements. It's essential for each age stage as well. Those supports look like social, emotional, informational, financial. For me in this age stage, I need supports to think about how do I keep my bones strong enough so I can keep up with Allie as she's running. Or the supports that I need for caregiving responsibilities for my mom that she potentially might need as she's growing older. Or how do I build a retirement as our administration is so out of whack, I don't know if I'm going to have money left when I get to that point. Thinking about your age stage, what supports do you need right now? Next, we have our leaves. That's our source of energy. Leaves power the flower's growth and development, provides it energy to survive and thrive. Similarly, in our lives, we need energy to sustain life's challenges, its ambitions, its transformations. I remember praying to get into Columbia's PhD program, and those prayers were answered. But for some reason, I didn't realize how hard a PhD at Columbia would be, or how much my life would change. And I remembered specifically in my office, it was about the size of a closet, one sunny Sunday morning. I was working on my dissertation at my computer, crunching numbers, but the math was not mathing. But I couldn't take my eyes off the screen for fear that any second that I wasn't working, I was failing. Then a text popped up on my phone. It was from a friend from my program that I barely spoke to, let alone hung out with, but she invited me to come to her home. Immediately I thought, there's no way I could leave my office and hang out with her. But then I started to think about the hundreds of invitations I had declined in the past 3 years. Invitations to birthdays, to weddings, to bridal showers, to basketball games. I had spent much of my time in this tiny office, sun up, sun down. Something switched. I asked her for her address. We spent the rest of the day telling stories, laughing, praying together. And it had been years since I felt the way that I had felt. That moment on, I made a promise to myself that no longer would I be sitting under a rock. Would I focus so much on the grind that I forgot about the things that fueled me and gave me energy? Things like dancing, spending time with friends and family, reading a book in the park. Interestingly, the next day I went back to my computer and started crunching numbers again, and the mathed. It farther showed me that it's okay. It's actually more than okay. It's necessary to take a step away. So as we're in different age stages and our energy needs change, what do you need to fuel your energy or joy? And how are you prioritizing that? Next, we have our petals. The petals are the expression of the current stage we are in. And like petals in bloom, the age stage that we are in is here today and gone tomorrow. We think of spring, the lilies, they blossom in their fullness. One of the beauties of it is that it's fleeting. Similarly to our lives, our own seasons has its own kind of beauty that we can grow an appreciation for. In college, I played Division II college basketball. So that meant early morning workouts, 2-a-day practices, lots of competition. Now in my late 30s, those days are way behind me. What remains is my love for fitness and community. So today I run marathons, something I never thought I could or would do. This is how I bloom in this season. So how do we become the beholder of the beauty of our own aging and bloom in the seasons that we are in right now? Instead of choosing to compare ourselves to others or cling to a previous version of ourselves? How can we learn to honor the current stages that we are in? I invite you to choose acceptance over alteration, presence over pressure, and meaning over measurement. The beautiful thing about a lily is not how long it blooms, but that it blooms at all. So finally, we have the seeds. Oh, the seeds. That's what creates the stories that shapes how others see themselves. Right now, we have a shortage of good seeds. I want to plant better seeds. That's why I'm creating the We Age Project. That's a resource for folks across all age generations, from baby boom to Gen Alpha, to support how we live across age spans, the lifespan. So it's a space for people to share real stories, reflect on their own, ask questions without being afraid, and bridge gaps across generations with a hope to create a new normal for how we age. But first, to get to that new normal and change the world around us, we have to shift how we see ourselves. And that's to recognize, to accept, and to celebrate that we all be aging.